Hey there, welcome to Bad Relationship Advice with your hosts Damien and Monica, the program where real people talk about real issues. And today we've got a guest. Gregory is on the show. Gregory is an Australian who's currently living in Paris, France. He's an English teacher and he's been in a relationship for the past 5 years. And the problem that Gregory's facing is that his partner's mother is a significant presence in their relationship. The strange thing is she passed away 5 years ago. And so Gregory's here to talk to us a little bit about how that presence is actually driving a wedge into the relationship. Gregory, hello.
Hello, thank you. They kind of lead up to several, different experiences that I've had from the spiritual world, and the latest one was the one with my partner, where I kind of feel like it's his dead mother who seems to be haunting either me or haunting him, and when I sleep over, I get this presence on top of me. I get woken up at say like 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock every morning when I'm sleeping with him, and it's this. It starts off with this. It always starts off with some sort of nightmare or some sort of dream.
Okay, so
That
it actually starts as a dream, and
it
then it
starts.
wakes you up.
It wakes me up, and then I feel this thing, this presence, this thing, this. Uh, it's almost like uh, yeah, I just feel this pressure on top of me,
Hmm.
and it sort of mixes in with the dream, and I kind of feel like, oh gosh, is it this? Am I having an experience? Is this something that's? Am I don't know. I feel this another entity in the bed with us, and
Can I ask, what does that feel like? I mean, is it just like, is it the same sensation as like if I'm kind of sitting in my living room and then someone's in there, but is it just, I guess you do have kind of a sixth sense that there's somebody there.
I think it's a bit heavier than that. I feel like it's this It's an irritation. It's an irritation of an unwanted presence that is just swarming around me, and it's not the first time that I've had this happen before. So it's like I've had different experiences from that nature as well, but also like pleasant experiences as well, where I felt whether like a passed on relative, where it's like, oh, I can feel someone around, and that feels nice, and or like if I'm just asking myself questions here or there, like, should I do this? Should I do that? And it's kind of like this other voice. It's not my voice, but it's kind of like this feeling.
So a
And
comforting presence almost.
yeah, yeah. So I've had, like, I kind of feel like I've had uh, different experiences before. I've never really spoken about them before, but this one's definitely it, it's a from a negative perspective. Like I
Right.
get this overwhelming feeling, almost like it's almost like a panic attack.
Okay.
I feel, and
Mm.
I
Do you feel
so
like it's is pressing on you? I don't remember you saying that. Like, when you say like
yeah.
you feel
Sometimes it can be like sometimes it can be next. I felt it next to me. I felt it on top of me, and there are times where I've like that's the time where I feel panicked. Other times where it's been next to me. This is when I sleep over at my partner's place, and so most of the times I'll either like I'll go and just sleep on the couch, and then like I'll do breathing exercise and I'll calm down, and or I'll go back to my place. Times where I haven't been able to do that, like I'll say, like I'll go back to my Catholic roots and be like, say a few prayers and call the spirits, my good spirits around me to block this other entity away from me. And for some crazy reason, it works. So it's almost as if, like, I don't know, it's it's this story that I tell myself that I guess it calms me down. But yeah, I don't know. I sometimes feel like maybe it's not true. I talk myself out of it, but then when I've had these other experiences, think, oh yeah, maybe it is true. But I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
Mhm.
I never see anything. It's always something that I feel.
Right.
It's a it's a feeling.
and you've never met mom, right?
I've never met mom. No.
Okay.
Now, Gregory, you were telling us earlier about your higher self and how this actually has played into this story. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So a friend of mine told me about the higher self, and everyone has a higher self, and that could be in the form of angels or a form of guardians, and the higher self is when it's someone that's just looking over you, and they guide you for certain things. So everyone's got a higher self, and so you can ask your higher self. You can communicate with your higher self, and that could be things like, what should I take this job offer, or what should I wear today, or what's it going to be like today? And it's that kind of it's that intuition of you being guided somewhere, and it's this higher self that we all have. And so my friend said, well, you need to tell your higher self to tell his higher self to give you a break, to communicate with this entity that's around, to leave me alone. So I never really got that far in terms of telling my partner about, hey, can you have a conversation with your higher self, please? Because I'm having trouble sleeping at night when I'm with you. Because it's not the first thing you say to your partner. But I did try it a couple of times where I was in bed and I spoke to my higher self and I said, can you please talk to my partner's higher self and say, can you help me? Can you protect me? Can you tell the higher self that the other higher self needs to tell this lady to back off, or to tell the entity to back off? And sometimes it worked. Like I said to my higher self, can you wake him up? And then my higher self, I imagine my higher self told his higher self, and then he woke up. He woke up because I didn't want to be alone with. I think it was a time where I wanted to wake him up, but I didn't want to shove him and say, "Hey, wake up! There's something here. There's something here." It was another. It's like testing. I wanted to test to see if this, this higher self, if they communicate. It works.
So when he woke up, what happened? Was she there still, or?
This one time where it happened, he did say, "Oh, is everything okay? Are you okay? Are you all right?" And I said, "Oh no, I'm awake. It's happened again." And then he said, "No, well, you don't need to worry about anything." And then just rubbed my back, and then we both ended up going to sleep. But it took me quite some time. But then I think there was just this calmness that happened, and then I was able to sleep.
And so can we say, like, so when he woke up, would you say the presence was still there or not?
Yeah, no, the presence was still there. Yes.
That's so mind-blowing. That's insane, isn't it? And so is it like the presence is there all the time, every time you're there with him, or is it like once in a while it comes in? Or?
Generally there at nighttime.
At nighttime?
At nighttime, yeah. And when we go to sleep together, wherever we go, like we've been on trips before, we've been on many trips when we go on holidays. Yeah, there's something there.
But so that's an interesting thing, or an important thing to kind of make that distinction, that you do hang out with him and the presence isn't there necessarily. So it's not like you're picking up on his aura or something, right? It's just that there are just discrete moments when she's there or not, and when she's there it tends to be at night, like after 2 or something, when you guys are sleeping next to each other. And he did mention that she was there, like she's sleeping next to him, kind of thing. So that's how you put two and two together. And when you go home and you're home, then if he's not there, then you don't feel it. But it could happen. So it's not a question of place, in terms of it happens anywhere you guys. Okay. And then how did you manage to get past it? And also maybe how the fact of how it has impacted your relationship, whether you feel like it has created some drama.
It's not really drama. There's a separation going on between us at the moment. I mean, he's not living in Paris at the moment. He's somewhere else. But when he is back in Paris, like, because I don't sleep well at his place anymore, I don't sleep there anymore. And he doesn't sleep over at mine anymore because just because I don't get good night's sleep. So this confinement has been actually quite good, because it means that I just stay in my own bed when he's over in Paris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So unfortunately, it does have a real, so I would say it drives a real wedge, between you guys, in terms of it has. And I'm sorry about that, but it's kind of a weird thing to drive.
So guys, I'm gonna break up while he's dead. He's dead. I wasn't happy about it, and she kept me awake all night, so that's why we didn't continue. No. We've talked about it before a couple of times, but he goes from an angle that he doesn't believe it and he jokes about it, but at the same time he's quite happy to say, "Oh yeah, no, but when I'm asleep at night, I can feel my mum next to me." He's got a very strong. He's always had a very strong bond with his mother, and like he lights candles for her. She's up on the shelf, and every anniversary or whenever he's thinking of her, like he'll light a candle, and that's he has kind of like a ritual with her that he does, which is really sweet.
It almost sounds like he is definitely inviting her presence.
Oh, definitely, for sure. Yeah.
So I can just ask if you feel like your presence is equally invited, or
if it's equally invited. He would always say yes, it is, but it's almost as if she's got a place there. She has a place there more than me.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't sound like he's saying, okay, I'm going to take steps to draw a line here so that when you're here.
And it's not my place to tell him to tell his higher self to let go of his mother, because he needs to do that. I think he needs to do that himself.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
How long has it been since she's been around? I mean, how long ago did she pass away?
I think it's about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And
pretty recent still.
Maybe more. Sorry, 6 years. We've been together for 5 years, and I think she passed a year before we got together. So 6 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because there is this kind of, the idea that he's kind of in some ways holding her, to this earth, and him not being able to let go is what prevents her from moving on. And so it is kind of, it would just work best for everyone involved in a way if he was able to kind of let go in a way. But it sounds like he's not ready, and you are respecting that, and it makes sense that,
Yeah, I mean, I think you're definitely doing as a loving partner, you're not going to try to like come in between him and his mother, obviously. So, I mean, I feel like you're doing what you need to be doing as well, but you just sounds like it's getting a little old.
But see, and that's where I think like these vibrations or these frequencies that I genuinely believe are around, but at the same time, I think we as human beings, we manifest to these stories or these ideas or these things that we hold on to, and they give out a vibration, they give out a frequency, and it's and I think this might be something that on his side that he hasn't been able to let go, that he hasn't been able to fully digest or fully understand about her leaving. And the times where he's asleep, where he's relaxed, where he's just letting go, that's where it comes. It's kind of as if it's this magnet that something's drawing to him, and that's what wakes me up. It's this feeling that I get when I have these experiences of this frequency, of this annoyance, of this, there's something there, and it bothers me. That's when I know
that you see it as like kind of a presence that's like irritating to you, it's not a positive feeling at all, and
you did mention earlier how you have had presences that felt comforting.
Yeah, and this one's not a comforting presence. Malevolent.
You get the feeling like you're not wanted, like the presence wants you to leave.
It's a malevolent feeling because what brings it on is these malevolent dreams. It's these they're quite horrid nightmare feeling of, being watched, being something malevolent, something evil, some sort of trickery that's happening. And I wake up and that's this feeling. And another feeling as well was the sleep paralysis that I've had before. And this has happened with these experiences as well, where I wake up with this some sort of nightmare dream state of malevolent feeling, and then I wake up, but my body's still asleep, and I can't, like, I feel like I'm paralyzed.
Yeah.
Can't move. And the first thing, like now, my go-to is when I have that feeling. My go-to is just I say a prayer that I learned when I was at Catholic church, and I say it over and over and over, and then I can start moving again, and then I just feel this presence there.
Who is the saint that you have? Do you have it?
Yeah, it's Saint Benedict.
Benedict,
and he is he's the protector of evil, and he's So I recently bought St. Benedict, and I just wear it around my neck now. And I haven't slept with my partner yet with Benedict, but I just it's weird, isn't it? But yeah, I don't know. Like I grew up Catholic, but I never practiced it. If anything, I did my first communion, and I learned some prayers, but I never practiced. I never went to church afterwards and all that sort of thing. But it's only until now that where I've practiced it, used it, and it's worked. And
Starting
I don't know
to serve
whether
a purpose.
are these stories that I've built up in my head that I don't know, maybe that were beaten into me when I was younger. Yeah, so I use Saint Benedict as a protector.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, like I said, like there were, I've heard many stories of even people who are completely atheists that just it's almost like they're so scared, and then I've seen stories on sleep paralysis where all of a sudden they see themselves like saying a prayer. They're like, I never would have even thought to do it, and then I just was starting to do it, and then it actually helped. So it is interesting how that happens, because there's different things we can turn to, but there is something there, I think, in terms of why people choose that and why it does seem to work beyond just kind of like, oh, it's just the placebo effect, you're doing a ritual and then that's working somehow. You know what I mean? When was the last time you had the episode?
It was probably last Christmas.
Okay.
So we went on a trip with he's got an older son, and so the three of us went to just a small French town. We went for a drive, and then we stayed at a hotel, and the whole entire night I just didn't sleep at all. Like, was just awake. And so I put my headphones in, I listened to music, I listened to all sorts of symphonies, piano concertos, just from start to finish. And I go on to the next one and just listen to them all night. And just because I just can't sleep. It's like this, I'm awake. And this happened as well. And that one wasn't as malevolent. It was more just, a presence there keeping me awake.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two different types. There's times where I'm just awake. This thing's keeping me awake. And other times it's where it's something quite heavy and feeling quite evil, or keep feeling something, that annoyance.
Mm-hmm.
And probably, the last times that I've slept over at his place, that's where I felt it.
As maybe some kind of resolution or something, I guess my main question is, what do you see coming out of this? I mean, obviously I feel like you've learned about yourself and your own senses through this experience. Would you be willing to continue, dealing with this, or is this something that you're like, at a certain point you just wouldn't be able to anymore?
Well, I mean, as we were talking before about how it's putting a wedge in our relationship, it's sort of pushed both of us to both go and see a therapist, not in terms of, having spiritual experiences, dealing with that, but more so dealing with just our own sort of, just our own life dealings of working things out. And mine's more towards the, I don't want this to ruin our relationship. But also for him, I don't think he wants it to ruin his relationship either, but he knows that he admits that he's got issues with, not issues, but having difficulties accepting that his mum's passed on. And then also, I mean, he's a workaholic as well. And there's that, like the different things of, like really, I mean, our heads did get put together of like, well, for us to move forward, we need help. And before we start having, I don't know, seances or exorcisms of any sort, that just some sort of realness of things that we want to sort out ourselves need to happen. And I think we both have identified that. But in terms of like, because he's not living in Paris at the moment, he'll come to Paris, say on a weekend or something like that. And it's kind of just a known fact now that I don't sleep over because I won't sleep.
But clearly you're experiencing something that no one else would just like sleep insomnia would describe, and you're feeling like a real presence that is not coming from you wanting, somehow you're getting some sort of positive, some sort of reward for it. You actually don't want it to be there, and yet you feel it's there. And so it's like, and it's very distinct, and it happens at distinct times. So I think it is something that, the question is kind of like, now what, so what do you do with that? It's like, because sometimes like, and maybe there is like a part, I mean, it, again, of course, it's like we mentioned, it's not your place to tell your boyfriend to let go of his mom, but maybe almost like accepting. I mean, it would be nice, and maybe therapy will help him. It would be nice if he understood that letting go of someone is not something that, it doesn't mean he loves her any less, or, it's just something that is, she will still be very much a part of his life. That's never going to change. And, but letting go is something that can help him, help her, help everyone in a sense. Like, and she also needs to move on some level. She probably doesn't want to be, in a sense, stuck to the earth, but she's going to be as long as her son, she feels her son still needs her.
And Lord knows you just want her to get the fuck out of there. All right, Gregory, thank you so much for your story. It's been really interesting talking with you today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being willing to interview, this exclusive interview. Very interesting. And we will see you soon again.
Yeah, hope to be back in touch soon.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. And this has been Bad Relationship Advice. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.